The Top Knot Creative Show, the Top Knot Creative Show. Seeking super smart, super talented superheroes. How to be wow over the world and all around. The Top Knot Creative Show, the Top Knot Creative Show.
Hello everyone, this is Shantae Schrader, and welcome to the show where we seek out the super smart, super talented, and basically the superheroes who are taking over the world and making it super wow. Today we are talking with Michael A. Markowitz. The law firm of Michael A. Markowitz was created with the idea of providing legal services that they personally would want from a lawyer. They take pride in their reputation of creating legal options while listening to the client's informed decision. They believe in honest, straightforward communication, and since 1991, they have been providing legal services for a fair and reasonable fee, and I couldn't be more excited to have Mike on the show with us today. Mike, thank you for joining us.
Great to be here, Shantae.
Wonderful. Now, you are out of New York, is that correct?
That is correct.
So it's a warm day in New York, you're telling me?
Yes, I am sitting here in my air conditioner and in front of my computer and talking to you.
Wonderful. Well, let's kind of get started. I want to know more about you. How is it that, how you found law, how you founded the law firm, and give us the background.
All right. Briefly, because lawyers can tend to be a little bit verbose. Nobody in my family is a lawyer. And when I graduated from Washington University in St. Louis, I didn't really know what to do, and I was a history major. And I thought, well, law may be kind of interesting. So I made application, I got into law school, still didn't know that I wanted to be a lawyer until the first day of classes, where the professor started talking about a pizza place, and some cheese falls on the floor, and somebody trips and falls, and they're hurt, and who should be responsible? So we got into this huge discussion in the class. Should the person who fell be responsible? Should the pizza place be responsible? Should the cheesemaker be responsible? And from that first day of law school, I realized that this was for me. It's a very intellectual pursuit. It's solving problems, issues, and from then on, I graduated law school. I worked for a small firm on Long Island for a number of years. Then I was in-house counsel to European American Bank for a short period of time. And I was laid off when in the early 90s because of the economy. And I didn't like being laid off. So I decided, hey, I'm just going to do it myself. I'm not going to lay off myself, and not only that, if I have a lot of clients, and one of the clients doesn't like me, I still have a whole bunch of other clients who will like me, and I will not have to deal with that situation again. And I started up my own firm, and I've been going strong ever since.
So it's been 20 years.
It's been a while, yes. It's the practice of law. So I'm always constantly learning and evolving and practicing in order to get better.
So when you started up the law firm in 1991, what was your vision?
My vision. Well, at the time that I started, I had no clients. Mm-hmm. I had a little desk in this room and a computer. At the time, most attorneys were not computer-oriented. And I realized that really was the future. Mm-hmm. And I started generating forms electronically for myself that I could reproduce easily, quickly, to save time, money for the client, and of course time for myself. I started getting more and more involved with the internet I was one of the first attorneys that I know of who was doing legal research over the internet and other type of research. I had a CompuServe account. I don't even think they're still in business. And I was one of the first to go toward email. I realized early on that you had to be electronic and you had to be ahead of the curve in order to be able to succeed in law and frankly, I believe in any type of business.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense if what you're saying is it's a problem-solving business.
It is a problem, yeah. It's a client comes in with a problem, and I have to figure out not only legally how to solve that problem, if it is solvable, but also how to quickly solve the problem, not a drawn-out process that costs the client money, time, and energy. Mm-hmm. And that's where I believe a good lawyer comes in. A good lawyer can quickly spot the issues and get a result quickly for the client. Sometimes quick may be years, sometimes quick may be a week or two. Maybe quick could be a phone call.
Mm-hmm. What I appreciate is the, in the bio, it says that you believe in honest, straightforward communication. One, I know you're from New York, so that is usually... I lived in New York for 3 years, so I do appreciate that from New Yorkers. And two, it's the... if I have a problem that needs to be solved, I want someone who's going to rally for me, but also give it to me straight and give it to me in a way that I can understand. So maybe talk more about that, what that means to you as far as being honest and straightforward.
Well, if you turn around and you're not straight with the client from the get-go, mm-hmm. You're going to give the client expectations. People come into the law office with stories from other individuals who may have been in a similar circumstance, and they got a type of result, and they may have gotten opinions maybe from other friends who are attorneys. I call them, I guess, armchair attorneys. They're in their armchairs away from you, and they say, "Oh yeah, well, you could get $1 million for this." Okay, and they come into me, and if I'm not upfront, straightforward with them at the get-go, maybe I'd be able to bill and in order to get a result that the client is not happy about. So, maybe a dishonest lawyer in the short term would be able to make some money and have a very unhappy client, okay? But in the long term, as a business model, it's a horrible thing to do. Mm-hmm. If you give the client straightforward answers up front, then what happens is the client knows what to expect and is able to guide you accordingly. And if you meet the expectations of the client up front, maybe you don't make as much money because you're not billing out, because you're not taking a case that could be done in 3 months over 2 years' time, but you would have a happy client. And the best way to get work is through referrals. And the best way of having a referral is to have a happy client referring you to other people. Mm-hmm. And that's how I built my practice.
Love it. Now, your practice, you specialize in a variety of legal services. Can you kind of let our listeners know what those are?
I primarily deal with documents, contracts. Mm-hmm. I can give you the whole background and how I ultimately got there. But when I say contracts, documents, I mean commercial litigation. So how if businesses are suing each other under the Uniform Commercial Code, or under a real estate issue dealing with contracts, whether it's litigation, whether it's transactional work, in other words, forming corporations, doing real estate transactions where you're buying and selling property, buying and selling businesses, things like that. Early in my practice, I was involved in criminal work because, frankly, that's really the only way you can get experience before a judge. I was doing a little bit of personal injury work, which I detest, because, but not for the reasons that you think. It's very, very difficult for somebody who breaks an arm in order to calculate a value, a money value for that broken arm. To the person, it could be $1 million. To a jury, maybe it's $100. I don't know. And because I don't feel comfortable with that, I shied away from personal injury actions. When you're dealing with documents, you know what the damages are. You can calculate it out. So I find that part of the practice of law to be conducive toward my thinking. Also, the fact that I'm so computer-oriented, I have a much easier time than some of my other colleagues when it comes time to document organization. Putting everything, all the documents are electronic for me. I scan everything in. I'm able to find things quickly. That does help, and that's part of my own personal makeup.
No, I imagine people really appreciate, working with documents, while it's more conducive to you, that is a talent and skill, the ability to consume that much information, to be an expert. If I'm reading something that's more than like 3 pages, I just start to drift off to the next shiny thing. So tell us about like the experience of that and the ability to just kind of consume all that information and then be able to digest it and kind of share it with your clients.
Oh, all right. Well, let me tell you that as I'm getting older, my glasses are getting thicker. Okay? And very soon I'm going to need a magnifying glass on my desk. It's a lot of things in documents. When you're a lawyer and you deal with contracts, let me rephrase it. When you buy a car, you turn around and you're looking, what's the price? What's this? When am I going to get the car? You're not really looking at the stuff, the information on the back of the lease agreement.
No way, just tell me where to sign. Just give me that big red, sticky thing they put on it.
Now, when there's an issue and you come to me, I look at that stuff where you want to sign, but I immediately turn the page over. And it's interesting because when I deal with clients a lot, I say, all right, send me a copy of the contract, let me take a look at it. They only send me the front page, and it says, like, on the very, very bottom, over. More information, other side.
What?
And I always have to tell the client, you got to send me the other side. So, and you look, it depends on the issues, but you look at the document on the other side in order to find the specific language which would help or hurt the client. A lot of times when I deal with contractors who are doing work with businesses that are outside the state of New York, the first thing I look at is the jurisdiction clause. If we have to sue to get our money back, where? Because if it's in New York and my client is in New York, it's much easier for my client to anticipate costs and time toward the litigation than it would be in Alaska. So these are very, when you sign a contract, it's not important issues for the individual signing a contract, but for the lawyer, and when it comes time for litigation, it's important issues for me. Did I answer your question?
Yes, that did. Maybe it will encourage us all to look a little closer at the fine print before we sign, but yeah, probably not. That's why
That's
we
always
have
the
you.
thing that always got me, because when people sign a contract, okay, the law assumes that they read the whole contract. And there's been time and time again during a trial or during litigation when the person says, I didn't read that, but they're still held to that. And in one sense, you say, well, you have to have a uniform law for everybody, which is basically you sign it, you're bound to it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, it's not fair when you have an individual who is not a lawyer having to sign documents and agreements that have fine print that are 20 pages, 10 pages, even 2 pages, that they don't really understand. And by the way, I think that's one of the basis for a lot of these consumer protection laws, mm-hmm. where they want things not to be in legal language, and they want people to be able to read and understand things.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, it's a fine print, but it's also, I could read through it and be no closer to understanding what I'm signing. Now, what are a couple things, tips that you would give our listeners if they were looking to find an attorney and to make sure that they didn't get an armchair attorney, as you refer to them? What are questions or, bullet points that they should have on a checklist?
Okay. First thing, I'm giving you this advice if I personally was going to look for an attorney.
Perfect.
The first thing I would do is to speak to my friends or to speak to people that I've worked with in the past that I trust, mm-hmm. And ask and explain to them your particular legal situation, and if they can recommend somebody. Now, when a person does recommend them, you should also ask the person, your friend, who they're recommending, whether they personally use that lawyer. How do they know that lawyer? That's the first thing you should do. Mm-hmm. If your friend turns around and says, well, yeah, I heard that Joe Schmo was a really good lawyer, maybe you should call Joe Schmo, that's not really a ringing endorsement in my book. If the person turns around and says, yes, I used Joe Schmo, and he was really good, and he got the results I wanted with limited fuss and money, that obviously is a ringing endorsement, and maybe you should call Joe Schmo. Mm-hmm. I've been a lot of times, if you do speak to friends and colleagues and they don't know anybody for your particular issue, the next thing I would do is contact your local bar association. Here in New York, I'm a member of the Nassau County Bar Association, and what people do is they contact the Nassau County Bar Association, and they have a lawyer referral service, and they would refer you out to several competent lawyers that you would be able to interview to figure out which lawyer you fit best with and who would be best for your problem. And the reason why I believe you should be going to the Bar Association is because if the lawyer does get in trouble, usually, and I can speak for New York on this one, the complaint goes to the local Bar Association grievance committee. So there's a, that when the Bar Association is giving out an attorney's name, that they're giving out a name of somebody who doesn't have a grievance or against them. So that would be the next step. Obviously, there's going to come a time that you do find a lawyer, whether it's through the Bar Association, whether it's through a friend or a colleague, that you would want to interview. When you go to the lawyer, normally what lawyers do, and myself included, is the first thing we do is we get background information. There are some lawyers that are going to charge you for a consult. I generally charge for a consult. I charge an hour's worth of my time. However, most lawyers, including myself, if you end up retaining the lawyer, they will roll their fee, that consult fee, into the retainer. So essentially it would be a free consult. There are some lawyers that turn around and say, we charge a free consult. You can contact them, you can speak to them, but generally you get what you pay for. And if it's a free consult, it's not going to be a true consult, and you're not going to be able to really understand the issues that are involved. But when you speak to the attorney, you should be asking what steps are involved in order for me to get the results I need, and what are the anticipated results based upon the limited facts that you are giving to that lawyer. So, for example, in a matrimonial action, the person would give the facts as to the children, what they are earning, what the husband or wife is earning, the spouse is earning, what the assets are, whether there's a house involved, whether there are bank accounts involved, things like that. And more often than not, you would have an attorney saying, listen, these are the steps in terms of getting divorced. This is what you can generally expect in terms of child support. This is generally what you can expect in terms of equitable distribution. And generally, this is how long it's going to take in order to be able to get the results that you want. If an attorney is unable to at least do that for you, then maybe you should shop for another attorney. And then the final piece is, I believe that the attorney-client relationship is a very personal relationship, and you have to feel comfortable with the person that you are hiring as the lawyer. Just like a doctor-patient relationship, where you're going to a doctor, you want to feel comfortable with the doctor, that the doctor is going to do right by you. The same thing with being a lawyer.
Okay. That's a lot of good information, especially the first point of contact. We would all think, oh, a free consult, that seems better. But from moving forward, I think I will be looking to, no, let me pay you for your time, so I know we're not just shooting the breeze. And
correct. And a lot of times with the free consult, you may not get the consult with the attorney. You may be getting a consult with an assistant in the law firm. Also, a lot of these fly by $300 for a divorce. It may not necessarily be what you expect. It may not be you getting to talk to a lawyer. It may be very, very cookie cutter. So again, you get what you pay for, and if you're paying nothing, then you're going to get nothing of value.
Right.
That's my. But then again, you don't want to overpay either. You want to get somewhere in the middle.
Right. That makes sense, and that's that first step that really will lead to the next step. So I would say to our listeners, that is good advice. I would definitely tune into that. Now, if people were interested in working with you, or someone from your law office, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Oh, to contact me, I've been trying to expand myself beyond the borders of New York, although most New Yorkers don't believe that anything exists beyond the borders of New York.
What? That's true.
Nothing is past the Hudson. In any event, the best way to reach me is by email. That's attorney, ATTORNEY, at M as in Mike, A as in Apple, M as in Mike, P as in Peter, C as in Cookie.net. You can contact me by my website, which is www.mampc.com. markowitz.com. You can also contact me by phone. My telephone number is 516-295-9061. I also have you can reach me through LinkedIn by putting in my name. I'm the head of a solo attorney practitioners network group, which I can go into a whole speech about that. That's been great. I've gotten a lot of business from that. And finally, you can fax me at 516-740-2880.
Perfect. And to our listeners, we will have all those details on our website. So, of course, I encourage you to check out Mike's various profiles. Mike, thank you so much. You've given us a lot of good information, and I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
My pleasure, Shantae. Thank you very much.
Of course. And to our audience, thank you for listening. Now get out there and build something beautiful. Until next time, take care.